Hello, dear audience of Mr. Twilight. Welcome to the latest episode in the series, Nighttime Horror Stories. Some fears begin in childhood. For me, it was clowns. Not because they did anything scary, but because they're just too unpredictable. Their faces are ghostly pale, their smiles always unnaturally wide, and that shrill, piercing laugh echoes every time they appear. When I was little, I thought it was just a joke, until one day I saw a clown standing in the alley behind my house, not moving, not saying a word, just staring at me. Since then, I started to look into it and realized I'm not the only one who's uneasy around them. Today, I'll be sharing with you 3 terrifying true stories about clowns. These stories are not for the faint of heart, so if you still think clowns are symbols of joy, watch this video to the end. You'll change your mind. Story 1. The Horrifying Birthday Party. At 2 a.m., Alina woke to the sound of soft giggles coming from behind the house. Not loud, just faint and persistent, like someone trying to stifle their laughter. She quietly sat up and walked to her bedroom window. The backyard, where her daughter's birthday party had taken place just a few hours earlier, now lay silent. The trees cast long shadows under the dim moonlight. As Alina looked toward the old shed, where leftover party decorations had yet to be cleared, she saw a figure standing still. It was a clown, but not like any she'd seen before. His tattered red and white striped outfit was stained with dark brown splotches, and he was staring directly at her window. He slowly raised a hand and waved, then brought a finger to his lips as if to say, "Sha!" Alina froze in terror. Suddenly, the clown dropped to all fours and began crawling backward toward the shed. His eyes locked onto hers the entire time with a wide, grotesque grin. The shed door slammed shut behind him. 3 days earlier, Alina and her husband had planned their sweet daughter Emma's 6th birthday party. Alina never liked costumed entertainers, especially clowns. But Emma had begged for a funny clown to perform at her party, so she reluctantly agreed. Through a website offering party entertainers, Alina hired a clown named Mr. Wobble. He had great reviews and a silly, harmless-looking profile picture. The party was held in their backyard. The decorations were lovely: balloons, colorful flags, popcorn, and orange juice. Everything was perfect. Kids ran around laughing, adults sipped coffee. Mr. Wobble arrived right on time and did balloon tricks and clown skits. He was a bit clumsy but won the children over quickly. That was until Alina noticed Emma standing alone at the edge of the yard. Concerned, she approached her daughter and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Emma, are you okay?" Emma's tiny hand trembled as she pointed toward the shed and whispered, "Mum, the other clown." Elena's heart sank as she turned to look. Stepping out of the shed was another clown. Not Mr. Wobble. This one wore a dirt-stained costume. His makeup was smeared like it had been splashed with water, and worse, his eyes had no pupils, just blank, milky sockets. He stood still for a few seconds, then slowly raised a finger to his lips. "Sha." Then he started walking straight toward them. Alina screamed for her husband, grabbed Emma, and ran inside. Her husband, Thomas, charged outside immediately. Seeing another adult, the clown stopped abruptly, tilted his head, let out a shrill laugh, and bolted toward the woods behind the house. The police arrived quickly but were baffled. The surrounding security cameras showed nothing. However, several party guests had witnessed the clown. Thomas swore the man disappeared just a few feet away from him. Miss Wobble repeatedly denied knowing anything about the second clown. When police inspected the shed, they found a single red balloon tied to the door and an old rag doll on the ground. Its mouth soon shut with black thread. Elena began recalling strange occurrences before the party 3 nights earlier. She heard scratching at her bedroom wall, which she assumed was a stray cat. The next morning, after Emma screamed, she discovered a red handprint on the girl's window, as if someone had pressed their face against the glass. The police said it was probably a prank. But now, Elena knew someone had been watching them. That night, she couldn't sleep. When she checked the security footage again, she found all data from 5 to 7 p.m. The time of the party had been wiped. After the incident, Mr. Wobble disappeared. His phone was disconnected, and the website Elena had used to book him no longer existed. Thomas tried to calm her by upgrading their home security, installing new locks and motion lights. But Emma was more deeply shaken than they thought. She sat in silence, clutching the creepy doll the police had left behind, mumbling under her breath, refusing to speak to anyone. One night, after Elena tucked her in, Emma clung to her and whispered, "Shachan, don't go, Mommy. He's still listening," from inside the closet. Elena's family moved 3 weeks later, cutting all ties with their former home. But the trauma remained. Emma refused to sleep alone. She covered her bedroom mirror every night and screamed in fear at the sight of a red balloon. Every night, Elena tossed and turned, hearing faint laughter somewhere in the house. But whenever she rushed to Emma's room, the sound vanished. Only the soon-mouthed doll remained, neatly placed on the pillow. Its mouth was no longer soon shut. Elena sent this entire story to a paranormal forum, ending with the chilling warning: if you're thinking of hiring a clown online, ask exactly where he's coming from. And if your party ends up with 2 clowns, make sure you only invited one. Story 2. The Haunting Night Shift. Let's move on to the second story, which took place in a suburban area of Illinois. At midnight, Cody jolted awake after dozing off for a few minutes. The dim fluorescent lights inside the fast food restaurant cast a pale hue across his tired face. A ding echoed from the auto speaker. Someone had just pulled up to the drive-thru. Cody leaned forward and placed his hand on the control panel. But no voice came through. Only a low, static hum followed by a distorted, twisted laugh. Cody snapped fully awake. Frowning, he pressed the button again. "Hello? Is anyone there?" The laughter stopped abruptly. Cody slowly turned toward the drive-thru window and saw a clown. He was sitting in an old, battered blue van with peeling paint. His blue and yellow clown costume was torn and filthy. The makeup on his face was smeared, his eyes wide and unblinking. And worst of all was his crooked, blood-red smile filled with razor-sharp teeth. The clown slowly leaned out of his car window, staring straight at Cody. Then he placed something onto the drive-thru ledge. Cody walked closer, eyes still locked on the clown, and looked down. It was a doll, blood-stained. Its eyes had been gouged out. The clown waved, very slowly, as if saying goodbye, then slammed the gas pedal. The van roared away and disappeared into the darkness of the highway. Cody was a sophomore in college, working the night shift at a fast food restaurant on a desolate highway near Bloomfield. The location was unpopular, too far from any neighborhood, and there were rumors that it had been built on the remains of an abandoned mental asylum. Cody didn't buy into those creepy tales. To him, it was just a quiet, steady job until that cursed summer night. The night shifts were usually slow. He had time to do homework, listen to music, and occasionally nap. The security cameras mostly caught passing trucks or stray cats rummaging through trash. But sometimes strange things happened. Food in the fridge would be rearranged, as if someone had rifled through it. A message had once been scrawled on the wall in ketchup. "See me laugh." But Cody dismissed it as a prank by bored teenagers. When Cody called the police that night, they arrived in 15 minutes. The lot was checked, but there were no signs of anyone. No bloody doll on the counter either. No one believed him. One officer even accused him of wasting their time while still half asleep. But one officer pulled him aside and whispered, "You're the fourth person in the past 3 weeks to report seeing that clown. One was at a gas station, one at the post office, and another was a school security guard. The difference is you're the first who didn't get attacked." Cody's voice cracked. What happened to the others? The officer didn't respond. Cody quit the next day. But the nightmare didn't stay behind at the restaurant. That Monday night, when he returned to his apartment, there was a white envelope under his door. No sender name. Inside was a photo, taken with an infrared camera, of Cody sleeping, and on the windowsill behind him stood a clown, staring in. The next night, Cody's laptop turned on by itself at 3 a.m. A video began to play, showing Cody inside the restaurant kitchen, but the camera angle was from above, somewhere in the ceiling where no camera was installed. In the footage, the horrifying clown was standing behind Cody, barely 2 meters away. He didn't move, just smiled. Another night, Cody received a call from an unknown number. When he picked up, a childlike voice whispered, "Do you know what he loves most? When you turn around and he's already there." Cody hung up immediately, but the voice it kept speaking, even though the phone was disconnected. Panicked, Cody threw the phone to the floor. Its screen cracked. Yet the eerie laughter kept playing. Doctors later diagnosed Cody with paranoid delusions. His family forced him into treatment. But Cody knew the truth, that thing was real. It wasn't a hallucination. One time, during a therapy session, Cody secretly left his phone recording from a hidden corner of the room. When he later watched the footage, the clown was there, sitting cross-legged across from the psychiatrist, mimicking Cody's voice and answering every question. At the end of the video, the clown looked straight into the camera and grinned. "This time, I'm keeping the laughter. You won't need it anymore." Cody vanished soon after. All his family found was his phone, still containing the video. But when investigators examined the clip, they discovered something disturbing. The audio had a specific frequency that affected the nervous system. Several listeners later reported hearing laughter continue through their headphones, even after they had been unplugged. Story 3. Nightmare at the Fair. Flickering neon light faintly as Jessie stood frozen in front of a twisted mirror at the edge of the fairground. Part of the classic Hall of Mirrors attraction. But this mirror wasn't like the others. It didn't distort her reflection. Instead, it reflected her face clearly. Yet just inches behind her stood a pale, filthy face with a grotesque grin stretching from ear to ear. Its bulging eyes were sunken, pitch black, like bottomless pits. She spun around. No one was there. Confused, Jessie rubbed her eyes. "Am I hallucinating?" she whispered. In the mirror, her puzzled reflection remained. And behind her, the clown was still there, slowly curling its lips into a wider smile. That night, Jessie and her close friends had visited a makeshift fair set up on an empty field outside town. It was one of those rare places that still held old-fashioned carnival games. Dart throws, can tosses, and a creaky Ferris wheel. To spice things up, one friend, Dalan, shared a local legend. A circus performer named Benjamin Grin had once fallen from the Ferris wheel to his death while still in clown costume. They said his body was never found, and that if a fairground lingered in one place too long, lost souls would see him, standing beneath flickering lights, with a smile that never ended. Everyone laughed and teased each other, except Jessie. She didn't laugh. By 11 p.m., the fair began to feel different. Lights dimmed. A mist crept out from behind the tents. The circus music distorted, looping into long, metallic screeches. Jessie followed her friends into the Hall of Mirrors. They joked around, took pictures, and wandered off. Jessie turned down a side path, and from that moment on, she never saw her friends again. When she tried to retrace her steps, the path had vanished. The lights went out. The entrance was gone. Silence consumed everything. Jessie wandered through the pitch-black carnival. No music, no laughter, just the sound of wind rustling through torn tent fabric. Strangely outdated booths appeared. Animal circus cages, human puppet theaters, and an unmanned Ferris wheel that slowly creaked with a sound like choked laughter. She passed a faded sign outside a tent that read, "The final show, the clown who knows your dreams." Inside emptiness, except for one thing. Giant clown shoe prints embedded into the ground, leading behind the tent. Jessie followed them, and then she saw him. A towering clown stood motionless under a tilted spotlight. His tattered costume had ropes wrapped around the sleeves, and dry red paint crusted around his mouth like blood. His eyes glowed an unnatural green. They didn't look human. He tilted his head toward Jessie. A raspy breath echoed, but his mouth never opened. Then he stepped forward, but not like a normal person. He jerked and twitched, like a marionette on strings. His joints creaked as if his limbs were made of wood. Click, clack. Jessie backed away, eyes welling with tears. The clown stopped, conjured a red balloon, and popped it with a pin. Then he yelled, "TTSO by giants!" Jessie bolted. His warped laughter echoed from every direction, coming from the very fabric of the tents themselves. Surrounding her, she stumbled into an abandoned game booth. Knock down the cans, win a teddy. The teddy bears had their eyes gouged out, mouths soon shut. One of them toppled off the shelf, without anyone touching it. Behind her, clomp, clomp, then silence. Jessie slowly turned. No one was there. But in the old mirror behind the booth, she saw a shadow standing just behind her, bowing its head. A raspy elderly voice whispered, "Don't open your eyes when the bell rings, or he'll know you're not ready to die." Jessie collapsed in the empty square. Ahead stood the Ferris wheel, now spinning at terrifying speed. Yet the seats were all empty. Beneath it, the clown stretched his arms wide. His jaw opened unnaturally wide, as if torn. His whole body trembled. From his chest, puppet strings shot out like tentacles, slithering toward Jessie. She screamed, covered her ears, shut her eyes tight, and everything vanished. Jessie woke up outside the fairgrounds at sunrise. Her face was dirty, her clothes torn, and red rope marks circled her wrists. like she'd been tied up. No one believed her story. Her friends said she'd only been missing for about 20 minutes and was found asleep in a rest tent. But no one could explain why Jessie was still clutching a ticket labeled "The Final Show." To this day, Jessie refuses to set foot in a carnival. Whenever she hears carousel music or the creak of metal, she covers her ears and cries like a child. Sometimes, she wakes in the middle of the night and sees two glowing green eyes staring back from under the bed. And she hears a faint, distant laugh say, "Next time, you won't wake up outside the gates." And there you have it. 3 terrifying true stories involving clowns. So now ask yourself, how many of the clowns we've seen are actually just ordinary people? Or are some of them something else hiding beneath the makeup, watching us? If you ever see those wide, unblinking eyes staring through your window or hear a high-pitched laugh in the middle of the night, you'll understand why coulrophobia, the fear of clowns, is so common. Have you ever had a strange encounter with a clown? Share your story in the comments. Mr. Twilight reads every one, and yours might be featured in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to catch more spine-chilling real horror stories. And remember, if you ever see a clown standing alone at night, don't go near. Just turn and run immediately.